I'm going to start here today in Xcode. One of the things I'll be using to demonstrate the recent progress is the ability to run more than one simulator of the Novillo software at the same time. Not at the same time, but run two that are separately configured. So you can see I've got a pop down here, and what it's showing is that I have two different models of 12.9-inch iPad that I can select from that I can run the software on. So that's what I'll be doing to keep that clear. So I'm going to choose the older model and the second generation iPad, that is, and I'm going to use it to run Novillo. So what we're going to see here is what we see in a lot of other demos. Start the application up, open up the editor area. There's a project ready to be loaded. I load it, and now what we can do is head into the composition and start to swipe, and there we go. So we can see that this is the project that I've been using as a demo for the last little while, and it's working as we've seen in the past. The objects are coming on, they're changing line weight, drawing on, line color to some extent, and anything else that I want to change that's in there is changing. And just to make the point, I'm going to go back to Xcode and I'm going to start up the other simulator. So this is actually the 6th generation 12.9-inch iPad, but it's essentially the same. And we'll just get that running here. And you'll see that here's the same screen, the same editor area, same project. And once again, I go in, I select it, and going to the composition, I can start swiping, and we see the same thing appearing there. So we know that we have two separate setups of the application on two different simulators. That gives a sense of, what two different users could be seeing. So this is a clue. One of the things that I've been saying is that the big first item on the roadmap is to get the ability to export and import information, and this is what happened here, but we'll go into that just to sort of make the point. Okay, good. I'm going to go back to Xcode, and I'm going to set things up to rerun the first one, the 2nd generation iPad, one more time. But before I do, I'll just make a quick, short side trip here, and I'm going to open up the, I've got things set up now so I can start that up, but I'm going to go in and go to the database application that I use to poke around in the database in the back end, and right in here, when I go into, this is SQLite, I can basically run this script that I have here, and what it's going to do is basically delete everything out of the database for one of the two simulators, the 2nd generation one, the first one we tried. So once that's run, that's done, and if you guys are keeping score at home, that means one of them should no longer have a project in it. Okay, so I'm going to go back now. I'm going to restart that same Novillo that I had set up before, and when I do, what we'll see is that when the screen comes up and we run it, just give me a second here to get this thing running, we don't see in the editor area any project there. So that's an indication that, yeah, now the database is in fact empty. So instead of trying to run a project that I can't, I'm going to tell Novillo instead that I want to download a project. So this is something that I was sort of demoing in the last one, but it was a bit inconclusive. So I've done what I did before, which is, I basically click the download button, and now what Novillo is allowing me to do is enter the particulars relating to this project, which is that the name of the project is Showpiece, the GitHub account is Urbanistica, in this case it's mine, and then the repository that is being used is also called Showcase. So once I have those items added in, I can hit the load button, and that will load into the this copy of Novillo. Now I know this is kind of inconclusive because, once again, as I said last time, there's no UI feedback, and normally I see the feedback through Xcode, but we're not going to bother with that right now. What instead I'm going to do is, once again, I'm going to restart because I don't have a mechanism yet to just go to the beginning and start again. I'm going to restart that same Novillo. I'm going to go to the editor area, and now we can take a look and see that, yes, there is in fact a project back there again. Once again, I can select it, and when I go in here and select the composition and start to swipe, you can see that it's there again. And so, great. What this shows is that we just downloaded from GitHub and from Gist the recipe in Gist and the ingredients in GitHub that compose this project, which I know I created on the other iPad, the iPad 6th generation, some time ago. What was the key thing I was trying to do? Be able to create projects, but then move them from, you know, iPad to iPad, Novillo to Novillo, so that you can create something and send it out into the world and let people see it. And now basically the mechanism for doing that is complete. So we have a project working on more than one iPad now, which is great. Now, I just gonna make a point here, which is to run it on the other iPad again. And I'm gonna come to there is a kind of a point that I wanna make here, which is not just showing it on a second iPad again. But when I do this, what we see is everything kind of appears to be exactly the same as it was on the first iPad. And we're gonna choose it, we're gonna open it up, we're gonna go to the composition, we're gonna start to swipe. And look, it looks great, you know, same things are all there. But if I go a little further into it, you'll see that there's a difference, which is that there are two elements that we're missing in the second generation one, the one that's been imported. It's the egg in the frying pan and the wheel and the road on the car. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. I said it appears to be the same thing because this is the difference, and I noticed it a little bit before I put this video script together. The version we're looking at right now is the original one, which is where it was created, so not surprising I can see it there. But something has gone slightly amiss, but given that everything else is coming in, importing, and animating in the same way that it does in the original one, I'm gonna call this a win. So at this point, we can now kind of call that, I don't really know what I'm gonna have to do to fix this, but I'm not thinking it's gonna be very much work. The work you're seeing here lasts 48 hours, maybe lasts 72 hours, and I gotta tell you, it's meticulous, it's detail focused, and I hate it. I just hate this kind of work, but it has to be done. And now it's done. And I think it's a template for everything else that will happen from here on in. Most of the data that needs to be moved between originating or, you know, created Novillos and Novillos where you're gonna read them, whether it's in the Novillo app per se or in a reader version of the app, I think that we've established almost everything that needs to be in that data format. What is missing in the creation is some use of some kinds of data which are in the recipe, if you like, but not yet implemented. And that's one of the things now I feel freer to go ahead and do. And you'll see that probably in a future video coming up pretty soon. Okay, well, that's it for the video today. Thanks very much for watching. If you are watching along, you're one of a small group. When this thing takes, you know, over the world, it'll be like saying you were, yeah, of course I was at the Velvet Underground concert. Yeah, of course I went to that at the factory. Yeah, I was there. Sure, that was me in the front row. For you older people at Woodstock, absolutely. I gave Kurt Cobain a drive home. Yeah, he's a good guy. He liked me. I don't like Nirvana that much, to be honest with you. Okay, bye.